After undergoing repairs and refitting, Lieutenant Edward James takes the Clemson destroyer out for another mission. Seeing the enemy team is comprised of a tremendous amount of destroyers, the lieutenant has a feeling that the action will get quite intense very shortly. Enemy targets are spotted, and Lieutenant James continues to close the distance.
Taken the lead.
Launching spread after spread of torpedoes, the lieutenant takes aim and fires at an enemy destroyer, who moments later explodes from a torpedo collision.
Enemy destroyer blown up.
The lieutenant disengages, firing 2 torpedoes at the now unseen enemy destroyer. The torpedo alarms blare, but the Clemson is in no real danger. Firing at a target in the smoke cloud, the lieutenant is able to land a shot and reset the cap. Firing a spread of torpedoes at the enemy destroyer while also firing his deck guns, the lieutenant continues to pummel the enemy.
The enemy team has taken the lead.
Turning to avoid the incoming torpedoes, a second spread nearly destroys the Clemson, but the lieutenant is able to just barely avoid the deadly projectiles. His problems are far from over, however, as a devastating salvo from an enemy battleship destroys multiple gun turrets, causes severe damage to the engine and rudder, while simultaneously causing several torpedo tubes to implode. With the crew's ears still ringing, Edward James sees the situation continuing to deteriorate as his ship continues to burn while dead in the water. Ordering the ship abandoned, the lieutenant can only watch helplessly as the killing shells come raining in. While in port, the lieutenant prepares his ship for another mission. Before leaving, he is able to put his previous knowledge to good use, allowing him to choose a new skill, selecting the smokescreen skill to give him more uses of his smokescreen ability. Now ready to continue, Lieutenant Edward James leaves port and heads to his next mission. Knowing the enemy destroyers like to often engage in battle in narrow island areas, the lieutenant begins to search for enemies in the western reaches of the map. Launching a few torpedoes to maybe harm an incoming destroyer, the Clemson aims and fires at a distant destroyer. Turning to continue to engage, Lieutenant Edward James fires repeated salvos at the enemy targets. Incoming fire begins to rain down around the Clemson, causing the lieutenant to order smoke deployed. Dropping 2 spreads of torpedoes towards the enemy cruiser, the Clemson turns away to try to gain distance. A enemy destroyer lands a large salvo, damaging the engine and rear artillery on the Clemson. Lieutenant James orders the repair crews to work immediately as he launches another spread of torpedoes at the incoming enemy ships. The lieutenant watches one of his torpedoes shatter against the enemy destroyer, obliterating his ship instantly. Another torpedo slams against the enemy battleship, dealing heavy critical damage. Firing his artillery at the enemy cruiser, Lieutenant James slowly wears the larger ship down. Aiming torpedoes, the lieutenant drops multiple spreads at an incoming enemy battleship. Turning and engaging another target while trying to gain distance, the lieutenant orders another spread of torpedoes launched. Incoming fire lands all around the Clemson, sending huge jets of water shooting into the air. 2 torpedoes collide with the enemy cruiser, causing flooding and tremendous amounts of damage. Dropping smoke to hide his true course, Lieutenant James fires a few shots at a distant target. Heading towards the cap to prevent the reset, Lieutenant Edward James spots an enemy destroyer breaking cover and begins to open fire. The target is soon overwhelmed by multiple friendly ships and destroyed quickly. The remaining enemy ships are hunted down and destroyed, the lieutenant getting the last word in as a single shell penetrates the enemy aircraft carrier's deck, causing citadel damage and the ultimate destruction of the vessel.
We've sunk an enemy aircraft carrier.
The lieutenant was happy to survive this battle with his ship intact, as well as gaining 3rd place on his team for total experience. Thanks for watching, and if you liked what you saw, please click subscribe below.